This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the chairman and CEO of ALX Resources, Mr. Warren Stanyer. Warren, you keeping busy?
I would say it's a little bit busy, yes. We're at the tail end of call it the fall exploration season, and everything's kind of jammed in because we have had an early winter here in Canada. I don't know about what's happening in the U.S. in all places, but the chill came and snow and ice about 2 weeks early. So we did manage to get a lot done, though.
Let's go over what you were able to accomplish. You had some news yesterday outlining, of course, that you're starting to receive the first analytical results from the 2020 prospecting and sampling program at the 100% owned Vixen Gold project. I know the data is important as you head towards drilling, I believe, hopefully in November. Is that accurate?
No, we're filing a permit in November. We have
Got it.
to wait till things freeze up. There's a period of time where you want the lakes to have a certain amount of ice, et cetera, et cetera.
There you go. Okay, so the permit will be filed in November. Let's go over the data really quick, Warren, because I thought there were a lot of interesting takeaways. Of course, the most interesting that, the non-geologist type like myself is real keen on is the 17.7 grams per ton gold, right? From outcrop and historical trenches. That's the flashy number, but there's a lot of data you receive that leads me to believe that it should be a pretty interesting drilling campaign once that kicks off.
Yeah, so the 17.7 grams was found at a second showing on Vixen North that we visited before, but the more time we spend on the ground, the more we find. So we're pretty excited.
You've also collected samples ranging up to 7.21 grams per ton gold, and I can't help but look at the map there. You have gold showings over a pretty broad area. Can you kind of provide a bit of context on that, Warren?
Well, what we're doing right now is just trying to put all the pieces together here of what other people didn't really recognize. I think, as I've said before, in Ontario especially, people in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when gold was between, say, $18 and $35 US an ounce, they were looking for 15, 20, 30 grams on surface. I mean, I guess if Hemlo was on surface, those kinds of occurrences, And what's happened with the gold price going the way it goes, then all of a sudden these showings that other people abandoned and ignored suddenly make a big difference. One example is Probe Mines being bought out by Goldcorp a few years ago for over $400 million. The only thing that was found on surface by Noranda was 1 gram of gold. So they didn't think it was that significant. But what happened was that 1 gram of gold went down into the ground for, 100 meters at a time, and for quite a long strike length, which was proved by geophysics. With a VTEM survey, they were able to trace the gold zone and ended up with multi-millions of tons. I guess I'll have to look at the statistics for that. But what we're doing here, we know that our gold zone is not necessarily traceable with EM, but with magnetics we can see a very, very high magnetic zone, and these gold occurrences are along this zone. So that's the whole purpose of integrating the airborne survey with the groundwork and then coming up with our best drill targets for the winter.
And you're still processing the final data from the airborne survey, correct?
Yes. I mean, we haven't even received it all yet. We got some preliminary, and we can see basically it's going to be higher resolution than what we already had from 1992 data that we processed. It was quite wide spaced. This is 100-meter spacing, which it's a nice spacing to see the detail and then understand where the little structures are that can be the traps for gold mineralization.
You mentioned in the press release, of course, submitting the permit application for drilling and also consulting with the local communities. How is that coming along?
It's coming along very well. I had experience in this area with another company years ago, and I met a man who has done a lot of work for the Springpole Gold Project in terms of road building, camp building, drill expediting, and that person has offered to help us in this process, map our routes into Vixen North, and also he has close ties to the local communities. So basically, if you have friends in the area, it definitely helps expedite what you're doing because it's all about trust. And if they trust our friend and an associate, then they trust us. And that's basically what we're doing in the mining business is we are earning the trust of people, and you only have one chance to do it. So that's our plan here.
And it's critical, so I'm glad that you take it as seriously as you and the team takes it. Next steps, Warren, you want to provide a brief summary of what we can expect next?
Well, in ALX, we've got a few things that we haven't discussed yet. We've got a couple of gold projects in Saskatchewan that one we're evaluating, actually two we're evaluating, another nickel project we're evaluating, 100% owned gold project that we're evaluating. Those things are all kind of in the hopper, and we have to decide what to do with them. With Vixen, as we know, we've got the drill permit application coming up, and we hope to be drilling sometime in the new year when there's enough ice, and you have to, I would hesitate to say pray for that, but you certainly don't want a warm, slushy winter because then that'll affect your ability to access, and we'd rather not use helicopters. This area is very well known for its trails and pathways into these areas. So then with Firebird Nickel, we just completed an airborne survey there with Rio Tinto as our partner, and well, there's some very interesting things that we're just evaluating right now, so I can't really get into it. But let's just say that when you use the modern tools on an old property, you see things that nobody ever saw before.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you back on to be able to speak on some of those things that you can't speak to right now. Thank you so much for your time, Warren. I appreciate the update.
Thank you, Gerardo. All the best to you and your family.
Same your way. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.